Welcome to our City Council special workshop tonight. Call to order presentation from the University of Oklahoma landscape architecture students featuring studio projects related to recreation, green space, historic preservation, and urban design in Guthrie. Who's my lead man?
I'll give you a little introduction.
Justin, please.
I'll make it quick and get out of the way. But you're going to hear presentations from 6 different students from OU. Under the direction of their professors, Sarah Little and Brent Wall, they chose Guthrie for their semester studio projects. It's been fun to watch them observe Guthrie from the perspective of folks who have like fresh eyes and concepts for our community, allowing them to see opportunities that those of us who look at this place every single day might miss. As they go through their presentations, I'd recommend embracing the creativity of their work and don't let our brains get caught up in the usual budgets and logistics and the complexities of how these concepts can be accomplished. It's our instinct as staff and council to jump right into the nuts and bolts of, how in the world do we pay for these things, or being intimidated by the daunting nature of big ideas. But for tonight, let's just let ourselves be inspired by the hard work and creativity of these students. I do want to introduce you guys to a few guests. We have Mr. Sweeney, Mark Sweeney from ACOG, as well as Christopher Bluth, ACOG. So thanks to you guys for being here and for supporting the OU folks and for supporting Guthrie and all kinds of different projects. I also want to introduce Shane Hampton from OU Institute for Quality Communities, and also Ron Franz with OU IPCs. Mr. Franz, there aren't many square feet in downtown Guthrie that he hasn't touched over the last long time ago. Yeah, so anything that has to do with the revitalization of downtown Guthrie in the early 80s, like Ron is interwoven with that entire process, and he has more stories than you could ever imagine about that. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Where'd it go?
All right, well, thank you all very much for having us tonight. We really appreciate your time and allowing us to come and share the work of the students with you. Again, my name is Brent Wall. I'm a landscape architect and adjunct professor at the University of Oklahoma. Tonight we have several students with us. This is a kind of a vertically integrated studio where we have first-year students and second-year students. So this is the second studio for some and the fourth studio for others. So this has been a really great experience for some of the younger students to work with the older students and some of the older students to be mentors to some of the younger students. So it's really great. Personally, for me, Guthrie's always been a place that I've loved to visit. We come up every year for the Christmas home tour and the territorial Christmas downtown. So it's been just a pleasure to come and be able to spend time working on Guthrie for me personally.
Absolutely. And before we get started, there's some thank yous that we have to issue. First and foremost to ACOG and IQC, because they're the ones that connected me with the city of Guthrie through the SERI grant that you applied for and successfully won. But also within that project, it connected me to people like Justin. And one of the first duties of the ELBO, Recreational and Cultural Plan, was to create a steering committee. And so we really need to give a special thank you to everyone who participated in the steering committee, because not only did they give such great guidance for the ELBO project, but they also helped to identify projects within Guthrie. And you'll see a lot of those projects tonight in the students' work.
So this process began back in February. Sarah took the lead working with Dan and Justin to have a series of conversations about just what are some of the things that Guthrie needs, what are some of the opportunities that our students could work on. From there, we started the class, and we had 2 professional design reviews. You can see our reviewers are on the list below. And that entailed just our students sharing their ideas, getting feedback from city staff, and then along the way just helping to guide them in these projects, which has been super, super helpful. So we just wanted to thank everybody involved with the city of Guthrie for allowing their time and energy to help our students. Real quickly, just a quick explanation of what it is that you're going to be seeing. We are landscape architecture professors. Sometimes people don't actually know what that means. Every party I go to, I get drug outside, and somebody's like, hey, I've got this patch of grass that's not doing well. We can help you with that, but we are professionally licensed architects. And so basically we work with everything outside of the building. So parks and recreation, streetscapes, a whole litany of things, but it's always kind of nice just we can come help you with your yard, but we do a lot of larger, bigger things, and that's what we're training these kids to do. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So we named the project Growing Guthrie. And so it was kind of a nice term. It kind of ties into our landscape culture. But we saw this as an opportunity, and the students in their choices saw this as an opportunity to grow your streetscapes, grow your presence downtown, and what your downtown can offer to citizens and tourists and visitors. Growing your trail system, adding some multimodal trail opportunities across the city. Growing your transit system, kind of capitalizing on your trolley system that you already have, and kind of rethinking that and seeing how it could just be a little bit bigger and a little bit more robust. Destinations, you have plenty of spots around town that are open and ready and just waiting for these great destination points, small parks, things like that can happen. And then amenities for residents. So some of our students looked through their needs analysis, looked at food insecurity and ways that we could help bring greater food access to the community. So we kind of saw this as a growing amenities and opportunities for residents in Guthrie as well.
And the goal of Growing Guthrie is at the end of this, we'll present you with the booklet, not tonight, but in a few weeks. And basically each chapter will be devoted to a project. And so the goal would be, if you see a grant opportunity for the, say, trails, you could pull the trail chapter out of the booklet and be able to apply for that grant with the information provided.
Cool.
So this is the work that I did with the elbow. I'm not going to focus on the elbow area, but I do want to focus on the South 5th Street. And if you think about the city environment as fabric, the buildings and the street network become the threads that are woven together to create this urban fabric. And in Guthrie, once you cross the railroad tracks, it's almost like the urban fabric becomes frayed a bit. But there's a really good reason for this, right? It's the century of, frequent catastrophic flooding of Cottonwood Creek. But within this elbow steering committee, the committee identified this area around South 5th Street as having tremendous potential, right? Because it's this connector between the elbow and downtown Guthrie, which is hugely successful. So if you could think about repairing that urban fabric along South 5th Street and re-energizing that streetscape, you have the potential to add over 150 parking spaces, which is huge to be so close to downtown. But you're doing it in a way that's so much more graceful than having this huge sea of asphalt, right? You have this on-street parking. And if we keep all the vehicular access to the east, then it opens up the west to become really pedestrian and bicycle friendly. So we've added I don't think this is going to work. There we go. A 10-foot trail that would accommodate bicycles and pedestrians, and that would connect people from downtown Guthrie to the elbow. You could also take advantage of city-owned property in this area to host events like a cornhole festival, food truck courts, farmers market, anything that doesn't require a permanent structure. And these are ways to activate the space and to bring people downtown into this area and to the elbow area. But what I see is that it really creates this entrance, not only to downtown, but to the Elbow. And it gives Guthrie the opportunity to say we're so much more than Victorian architecture, which that's completely fabulous. But Guthrie is a lot more nuanced than that. And so by taking advantage of the South Fifth Street repair and some existing buildings that you could redevelop, you can present Guthrie in another way, right? And so you could focus on the leisure and recreational aspects of this area and creating a fun mural. And of course, I had to give it a bicycle theme for Justin. And then, you know, having a nice entrance arch over Oklahoma that would bring you into this area. But it's just a way to show Guthrie in a different light. And what this does is it also connects to the opportunity to grow your trail system.
Hi, my name is Melissa Seward, and I am proposing a Guthrie Trail Network. My goal is to create an increased access and connections to many of your local destinations in the community. It will provide more travel options and present a safe and enjoyable way for people to move around and get around and be also introduced to more nature along these routes in this urban environment. Through analysis, I have identified the places to connect the dots of Guthrie and create these 3 routes that you see here. And the red brick loop will follow along these cultural and historical destinations along the red brick roads of Guthrie. The Garden City Trail will take you along some of the local parks and even the Elbow Project and some future parks to be proposed later in this presentation. The Community Connections Trail will take local residents around and take them to everyday needs such as school, work, shopping, and food access. I have combined with a total of 24 miles with all of these combined trails. With this, I have proposed some improvements along some of these trails. On the Parks Trail, Garden City Trail, I have proposed connections and extensions of these sidewalks, and then a crosswalk for ease of access for safety and allowing pedestrians to easily cross to Highland Park. The next perspective that you see here is along Industrial Road, where you will have bike lanes and sidewalks to allow for the opportunity for residents to easily access these shopping and everyday needs safely. Going further along Industrial Road, you will eventually get to 14th Street, inviting you into this more naturalistic trail to get away from more of that urban environment and possibly even experience bird watching during the winter. This is one of my off-road proposed trail networks off of the Community Connection that is extending off of Drexel, and where some of that new development is happening and running along the reservoir that exists there, creating an opportunity for recreation such as fishing and picnics, and allowing an opportunity to have that connection to Walmart also. And then I will take it on to how trolley system could help grow Guthrie as well.
Hi, my name is Peyton Crow, and as my portion of the project, I've rethought the historic trolley route as another way to reduce vehicle traffic in downtown Guthrie and grow the city's access to public transportation. So, visitors could park their car in West Guthrie at the Elbow Project and use the trolley system to travel around town. And the goal for the trolley route was not just to grow access to public transportation, but also create these points of interest throughout town. So each bus stop will have a unique style that attract people on their own and are inspired by the different locations. So the stops feature a progression of styles that, one, honor the historic past of Guthrie, but also look forward to new styles for the city. So this first stop takes visitors to the State Capitol Publishing Museum. Since it's in the historic district, the structure features the character of the surrounding area with some green cast iron. Its goal is to connect with that Victorian aesthetic. And the shelter also connects with the trail system, so it provides bike racks and shades for pedestrians and cyclists coming from that direction. Now, the stop at Mineral Wells Park highlights Guthrie's stone architecture and features this recognizable arch shape that occurs a lot throughout the buildings in Guthrie and was designed by the architect Joseph Folkart. So since this is also in the historic district, the goal was to respect the character of the surrounding park. Now, this stop at the Territorial Museum takes another aesthetic on. It highlights a different historical style found around Guthrie, the mid-century modern architecture, and features some sculptural concrete elements. So this takes inspiration from Guthrie's history, but it goes beyond the Victorian aesthetic. Now, the stop at Highland Park reinterprets the WPA style of architecture found around this area. So since the red stone of Highland Hall and other WPA projects is not readily available today, we still take inspiration from this resourceful style that uses inexpensive and local materials. So in this case, the shelter is made of reused glass and concrete structure. And since this stop is at a park, we wanted the shelter to be colorful and playful with different shades of glass and some swings for people to play at and hang out on while they're waiting for the trolley. Now, these trolley stops can also be a way to attract a different type of tourists, those interested in oddities and roadside attractions, and this is a big draw for many people. As an example, there are clearly some well-known stops around Oklahoma, like the Route 66 Pop sculpture and the Blue Whale of Catoosa, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So I would propose this as an idea to create another iconic landmark for Guthrie and draw people in that may not necessarily just stop for the historic architecture. So this stop takes visitors to the Scottish Rite Temple. It's just beyond the temple on the east side of town, and this is an easy location to draw people into Guthrie off of the highway. This stop is supposed to be playful and whimsical with this metal UFO structure, and it frames the water tower in the background to act as like a prime photo opportunity and just nods towards the iconic roadside attractions that we see all over across the United States. Now I will pass it off that we are growing other destinations around town beyond just these historic stuff.
So my name is Brett Karp, and how do you work? My name is Brett Karp, and I'll be covering the downtown Guthrie streetscapes. So with decades-old Victorian architecture and a plethora of places listed on the Historical Preservation Registry, downtown Guthrie is the heart of Guthrie tourism. Oklahoma Avenue alone has 5 historical markers west of Division Street and is home to most of the Victorian architecture in the area. Indicating that it is a prime location for not only historical preservation, but historically accurate films as well, while Cleveland and Harrison Avenue have less historical prominence, allowing for renovations that can make the streets more pedestrian-friendly and economically resilient. So for Cinema Lane or Oklahoma Avenue, I took a flexible approach to enhancing the historical preservation, emphasizing the pedestrian experience, and increasing the economic resilience through extending the sidewalks, adding parallel parking, and reducing the lane widths. And ideally, after those changes, it'll look like this. And so by replacing the existing angled parking with parallel parking, it will reduce the available parking by about 20%. However, it will also allow us to extend that sidewalk, which will enhance that pedestrian experience. The proposed changes also include shortening the car lanes and making them shared lanes. So with bikes, not just cars, bikes and cars, to encourage healthier and more environmentally friendly modes of transportation. In addition to enhancing the pedestrian experience, I also propose removing the existing asphalt to expose the red brick underneath, increasing the historical character, And by exposing the red brick, we'd be reviving the street to reflect the original look and feel of early downtown Guthrie and making it more attractive to the film industry. So for the event streets, Cleveland and Harrison, since Cleveland and Harrison Avenues are not as historically intact as Oklahoma Avenue, I chose to make more changes to enhance the pedestrian experience and increase economic resiliency. This plan also has extended sidewalks, parallel parking, and reduced lane widths, as well as shared lanes. However, it also includes a bioswale down the center of the street. The bioswale utilizes curb cuts to allow for the street's stormwater runoff to be captured and treated by a combination of native plants, bioretention soil, and gravel before depositing the clean water into Cottonwood Creek. The bioswale also includes native oak trees that will provide large amounts of shade for the street without obstructing the view of the Victorian architecture found in the area. These changes provide a more comfortable pedestrian experience while also enhancing the aesthetic of downtown commercial corridors. For the event streets, just like Oklahoma Avenue, I also propose exposing the brick underneath the asphalt. And by exposing the red brick underneath the asphalt, it will allow for a smooth transition from busy commercial corridor to vibrant event venue, making the street feel as though it was always meant for pedestrians in the first place. The event streets can be also utilized for a number of economic purposes, like outdoor dining or filming, or possibly even an opportunity to take a lovely stroll down Harrison Avenue to our next site, Guthrie Square.
Hi, I'm Rajit. Now I'm going to talk about the Guthrie Square. Guthrie Square is a project that attempts to strengthen the character of Blue Jay Nation and people of Guthrie as a community. The intention of this public square is to provide the gathering place before and after the sporting events as well as movie nights and festivals. The location of this site is in the corner of South Harrison Avenue and South Wayne Street. The site is adjacent to the football stadium and within the downtown area. Coming to the site plan, the site has like free flowing of spaces. Most of the material used in this site are permeable, which contributes to the low impact development. There are like a series of oak trees planted on the northern and the southern sides of the site, providing shade for the trees planted, providing shade for the seating provided underneath. The site can be accessible through bikes, electronic scooters, and there is an approachable trolley stop. Entrance perspective. The giant iconic Blue Jay monument welcomes you into the site and is a place to take pictures. The interesting signage attracts people walking by and through in vehicles. Is the food truck area perspective. People visiting downtown can stop at the Guthrie Square in the afternoon for food trucks and can sit under the natural tree shade and relax during their break from work. The food trucks can be useful during the community events or gatherings. So, game day perspective. The central event area is flexible and can be used for the multi-purpose events. It will feature a stage area and a large LED screen on the west side of the site. It can be used for the game day tailgating, pep rallies, music performances, community events, and gatherings at all times of day and night. Now we are done with the destination and now it's time for the amenities.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emma Mangum. I decided to focus on creating a smaller park system within the larger park system in Southeast Guthrie. After looking at the amenities available to the residents of this area, I found that they really didn't have access to this green space. and that there were many vacant lots that were available for potentially redevelopment. So these two parks are situated off of Springer and Park and Capitol and Grant. My first park, Cottonwood Park, focuses on providing recreational access to the residents of Southeast Guthrie. So this park contains a multi-purpose lawn, a playground, a digging pit, and a looping path around the park. The design of the path around the park is actually inspired by the path of the Cottonwood River and the Elbow. So this first image, it's looking at the park as you're coming into it off of Springer and Park at the corner. And this lawn space provides an opportunity for socialization, relaxation under the shade of a tree, or just playing sports with your friends. There is a low wall around the perimeter of the park that also takes inspiration from the wall found at Highland Park. This next image, it's looking at the playground and digging pit. There is an adjacent gathering area, so parents can come, view their children while they're playing, or if they want, just have a bite, they can eat at the picnic table. My second park, Samplong Park, aims at providing access to locally grown food. So it's known that, this area is a little bit of a food desert, and so this park would help, relieve some of that. Another thing about this park is because it's focusing on food, the goal is to have, fruit-bearing trees, that will produce something through all months of the growing season, so April through November. On the eastern part of this site, there's also a greenhouse and garden beds, which could potentially be managed by the Guthrie High School's FFA horticulture program, and maybe produce an income opportunity for the students. This image looks at the commons area of Samplong Park. In the middle, there is a gazebo that provides an opportunity for larger gatherings, such as birthday parties, family reunions, the like. There's also movable furniture, so if you just want to come with your friends, you have flexibility in where you can, eat and have a bite. Around the perimeter of this area, wrong one. So there's fruit trees, over here and here. So if, it's apple season and you just want to go pick an apple off the tree, you can, enjoy that and do that. My final image is of the on-site greenhouse. Like I said earlier, this could be operated by the FFA students. They could grow, ornamentals, vegetables, cut flowers, house plants, anything, inside or outside, and they could, sell that directly to the community or to local businesses. And with that, I will pass it off to Mr. Brent Long.
We had a student who had a family emergency, so I'm going to kind of step in and present her work for her. This is the work of Mickey Walkup, one of the fourth or second year students. So she was focusing primarily on looking at food insecurity in Guthrie. So she did a lot of analysis of existing grocery stores, food producing areas, small farmers market type food places or places to attain food. She ultimately wound up with a site that was on Oklahoma Avenue in between Maple and Walnut. So this is right across from the junior high. It's currently a surface parking area and was actually a really nice infill development opportunity. Right now it's just being used for parking, but has this great presence on what we would consider the best street in Guthrie. That the view from Division looking up Oklahoma to the Temple is just really incredible. It's everything that makes cities great in terms of view sheds. So this is actually a really great site. So what she's done here is she has, trying to get the laser to work. Ah, there we go. Gotta know how to use it. So basically right now the parking is out here. She sort of flipped the site. So she's created just a couple of building envelopes here, We are not building architects, so they're kind of representative. They're actually really good for not being building architects. So she's kind of given these buildings this nice street front presence, kept the sidewalk nice and open. Any parking that would be lost on the surface parking lot could then be parallel parked along Oklahoma, and then you do have additional parking in the back. So in terms of what we always look for urban infill, this is really an excellent site to do that. So essentially, we have kind of two buildings, and it's really all about this kind of central court area and then how you kind of work your way around the building. So here we are, we're looking back towards the northwest on Oklahoma, so we have the parallel parking out here. Again, she's shown that you could have a two-story building, but you could go up to anywhere to 3 to 4 stories and still be within the scale and context of the surrounding buildings. Again, so lots of planted very well, lots of lush vegetation, lots of outdoor seating here, so this could be an opportunity for a farm-to-table restaurant. She was also thinking of this as if you had an event at the temple, that you could come here and have your after party, so those two could kind of work together. And you're probably seeing a lot of this was viewed through the prism of how do we help generate tax dollars, and this is one of those great projects where this has sales tax, capabilities all over, which is pretty fun. So here's a view looking into what would be the grocery store. Could have some great murals on top, softened up with lots of vegetation, and just a place where 8 to 80, everybody in Guthrie would have the ability to come here, grab something to eat, potentially grab a cup of coffee, those kinds of things. So it's a little bit of a social hub area. She created this really great kind of central court area with the fountain, would have tables and chairs. This entourage of people taking photos of themselves, you've kind of seen that a few times, but that's really a big measure of success now. We can go on these social media sites and literally see how people are using these places, how they're being drawn into them. So the selfie is kind of it's a prognosticator of our success and a lot of times, and so some of the design trends are kind of setting up these areas where folks can come in and take images of themselves. But I could see this would be a really wonderful place to be, very shaded, very cool, have the sound of the fountain in the background, have your neighbors all hanging out, bring your pup, kind of sit around. It's set up really great for all that. And I think one of the things that she was trying to do was she was trying to address the kind of youth culture of Guthrie. You have a lot of younger folks that have moved up here because it's a little bit less expensive than the city, and you have a great quality of life, and you have a lot of cool people that are living up here. So I think she really tapped into that in a lot of ways. And then this is kind of a view up to the second floor. She did this kind of clever kind of film effect here where showing that this would be just as activated at nighttime as it would be during the daytime. So you have these great opportunities for kind of rooftop bar, event space, but also could potentially have housing mixed in here as well. So this site kind of sets up really well for all those different kinds of mixed-use development activities. And I've broken the machine. Okay. Well, we are at our question and answer portion of the presentation. If there's any questions you have of the students, we would absolutely love you to.
How old are you people?
I know you're not asking me.
Really? I'm just impressed with their ideas. I was just asking how old they are. Can I ask?
24.
Wow.
Hang out with these guys all day and that'll really make you grow.
Well, I think everybody did an awesome job, personally.
Yeah, there's some interesting ideas in there that
I think so, too.
put the wheels to turning.
So if you think of Guthrie as a learning lab, and you're bringing these young professionals, you're introducing them to our community. We're also working with some engineering students out of OSU on a couple of bridge projects for parks, and they may make a presentation to you later. And while we may not do a particular project proposed tonight, but we might take elements of the various projects and add to as features of other projects we're doing to enhance those. And the other thing that really impressed me is their graphics and their ability to tell a story. And by working with these classes at OU and OSU, when we do an application, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Being able to draw from their ability to do graphics and 3D drawings will enhance our applications to make a better presentation when we do some of our applications in the future. So there's a lot of value that can come out of this, not just by saying, well, we're going to do this project or that project, but we might use elements of their ideals over here and elements over here. So I think it's a great opportunity for the community and for the students. And we'd like to precede Guthrie as a learning lab. And the last comment was made about young professionals moving to Guthrie. Not too long ago, we were at a retail trade show in Dallas where all the major retailers are. And there's one retailer I've worked with, development company I've worked with for a number of years. You know, I was walking by their booth and he runs up and he said, "I've been looking for you all day." And I said, "Why? I've been here all day." And he said, "Everybody tells me about all the young professionals out of Oklahoma City and Edmond are moving to Guthrie. And you're becoming more and more attractive to that segment of the population. We're interested in doing a retail development geared towards that population." So Guthrie is becoming known as the attractive location for young families, young professionals. And it's because of our investment in our schools, healthcare, the placemaking projects we're doing, new ideas like this. So very pleased with the presentations and the work by these young students.
Yeah, I am too.
I think we all were. Very, very, very nice. Are there any other questions or comments? Then I will adjourn our special city council meeting workshop and convene our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting. Reverend?
Y'all don't have
That's
to
right,
stay.
that's right. Pledge.
Thank you.
You're wrong every time. Good. Go and move the pledge. Thanks for coming, y'all. Good work.
Can't wait for the booklet, by the way. She didn't hear it. I think it'll be good. If we can get some grants. Use anything we can use.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Maker of this new day, thank you that each day is a chance for a new start. Yesterday is gone, and with it any regrets, mistakes, or failures. Help us to use each new day to make right any error in our actions. Lord, I pray that you would move by your Spirit boldly in our lives. We know that our selfishness can grieve you, and I pray that you help us crave your presence more than we crave our selfishness. Help us to grow in the fruit of love for you and every person you created that is around us. We pray for guidance. Let your will and promises always be a meditation of our heart. And thank you that each day is a new opportunity to do the right thing, to make right or wrong we have done, to give, love, and live. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Call to order. Public comments, community announcements, and recognitions. Anything? Anybody?
One moment.
One moment, please. No. Okay. Consent agenda. A, approve the minutes of April 19, 2022 Special Public Works Authority meeting. And B, approve the minutes of April 19, 2022 Public Works Authority meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Place your vote.
All votes are in.
Unanimous. The consent agenda passes. That adjourns our Guthrie Public Works meeting and opens our city council meeting. Consent agenda here. A, approve minutes of April 19th, 2022 City Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please place your votes.
All votes are in.
Unanimous. 3, discussion of possible action on a request for a special use permit to allow for a bar tavern within the Central Business District for a building located at 107 East Oklahoma Avenue per PC application 22-4.
So moved.
I'm going to say, I wasn't going to be very long. I was just going to say that, the Planning Commission recommended 4-0 for this. It does require a special use permit. It's an encouraged use downtown. We recently had one with the Mac and Ike's and that, so from a staff perspective, Planning Commission perspective, there was no issue with approval of that, so I'll leave it with you if you have any questions. The owners are here in the event that you may have questions of them.
I'll make a second. James.
Well, does anybody have any discussion? Would the owners like to say anything? We got all kinds of time, people. Might as well come on up.
Well, I'll be frank with you, I can't compete with this.
That was pretty amazing, wasn't it?
This is very impressive. I love where Guthrie's going. My son, Benjamin back here, is the one who talked me into investing in Guthrie. And it was a very wise move. I cannot tell you how much I love this town. The Crest building we bought, I wish you could have seen it. We had a tarp on the 3rd floor with water coming into a little basin. Just unbelievable. But we took that and have converted it into something that's very special. And we're going to continually do that here in Guthrie. We also bought the Stacy's Place, and we're redoing Stacy's Place. And again, our objective is to bring people in from out of the city to Guthrie. Because it's great for the merchants, it's great for the city, it's great for the town. And that's what our whole objective is. Now, what's in the Crest building is a jiu-jitsu. And it's a wonderful family. It's a very family environment. We have all these young kids. The 3rd floor is we want to set it up to bring what's called Fight Night. This is a big deal in jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you all have ever followed it very much, but we'll be bringing people in. We're hoping once a month and adding a lot to this. My son knows more about it than I do. Come on up here and talk to us a little bit about how these Fight Night works. And then I have one other comment after this.
So it's just an event center essentially. So we go to the farmers market all the time for jiu-jitsu tournaments, and there's about 800 people there on average. And of course, all the restaurants are just out the door because you're bringing in so many people. And I'm going to go to Dallas this weekend, and there'll be about 800 people there, and so all the hotels are filled up and all the restaurants. So the same thing here. Obviously, the fire marshal is not going to allow more than maybe 200 people. But if you have 200 people here over the weekend, you're going to have increased hotel capacity needed, and restaurants are going to be needed because everything's going to be completely full. And this is at least once a month. It might be more often than that because it's an event center. You're also going to have weddings, birthday parties, things like that up there. It's a gorgeous space. If you have not been up there, just come on by. It's one of the most beautiful spaces that we have. These 100-year-old rafters and skylights. It's absolutely gorgeous. So what we want to do is put a bar up there. It'll probably be open maybe one day a month the first year, and then we're hoping to get it open maybe every Saturday. So only 4 days out of the month, but because there's just not a lot of event center need Monday through Friday. But we're hoping to expand that and make it at least once or twice a week. So.
Multi-use.
Yeah, multi-use.
Yeah.
It won't just be jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu tournaments are huge. It's, literally the farmer's market, it's sold out within a week.
Yeah.
And these tables are $800 a table for 8 seats. So, Summer, she's bringing in $50,000 on these events. And unfortunately, they're in every other town. They're in Norman and Oklahoma City and Edmond. And we just
like
don't have
baseball
the
tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. And we just don't have that capacity in Guthrie, not yet. So that's what we're hoping.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I got one other comment. I live in a town called Nichols Hills, been there for 35 years, and have seen a lot of changes. And one of the changes now is people are buying homes and bulldozing them, and are sitting on the land. Well, unfortunately, I'm seeing the same thing what's happening here in Guthrie, is people are buying these buildings, and they're doing what's called a buy and hold strategy, instead of redoing these buildings. And at first I kept thinking, why are they not doing these buildings? Well, I talked to one of the investors, and he said, well, Danny, why would I redo a building? If I'm gonna buy another building, all I'm doing is increasing the price of the other building if I fix my building up. Well, we have got to stop that, and they stopped that in Nichols Hills. When you tear down a house, you have 2 years to start construction of a new home, or you start paying penalties. I think something needs to be thought about and looked into about once a building is sold, it needs to have a plan so it's just not sitting there and not being updated. It's just a concern of mine. Because both our buildings we're working on, and they will be totally redone, and they'll be first class. Stacy's Place, we're having to bring in structural engineers for the whole back section. We'll spend over $20,000 just on the back section because of the deterioration of the brick, because it's been poorly maintained. We don't have to do that, but these buildings that we're buying are not for sale. They're going to go into a family trust because of the historical nature of these buildings. And I respect these buildings very, very much. We have nothing like that anywhere in Oklahoma. You know, you can talk about Bricktown all you want, but Bricktown does not have the beautiful buildings we have here. We have something very, very special. And as soon as I get these 2 buildings done, I am going to buy another building, and I'm going to redo it. And I just suggest this council to maybe study and look into ways to stop this buy and hold strategy. It's not a good deal for any of us. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
I like your idea about
I did too.
penalty phase.
Yeah, buy and hold is great for the investor, it's bad for the city.
I don't think anybody up here argued with you.
It's a unique approach. I like your
We
approach.
just need to, you two, I mean, this group here is very bright, very smart. You just need to put a plan together. I talked to other cities, other historical things, and see what you can do to make this change. Now, I know I'm gonna have a lot of people pissed off at me, they're investors here, but I'm not here to make them happy, I'm here to make Guthrie happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's the last one to say, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Guys, I have a motion and a second. Any other comment? No. Place your votes.
I'll vote Strand.
Votes unanimous. All right, let's see. Special use permit, so that passed. Let's see, number 4, recognition of service, presentation of ceremonial dollars to council members. My favorite time of year,
Payday.
whether I need it or not.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Look
much,
forward to the
guys.
future with you guys.
Do you all remember how you used to evaluate me as city manager?
Your turn.
So I was sitting there, yeah, it's my turn. I was sitting there the other day thinking about it, and so you might notice that some of these aren't whole dollars.
Change in there.
This is recognition of your service, presentation of a ceremonial dollar to the council members. Under the Code of Ordinance, the mayor and council members shall receive a salary of a whopping $1 per annum. Things that we want to make sure the public understands. We think it's clear by the leadership that you provide that collectively as a group, you all love this city. You take your role seriously. You share a collective vision of a vibrant and competitive community for the future. You made personal sacrifices to serve this community. You do what you believe is right. Individually and collectively as a group, you have safeguarded the rich cultural and historic resources of this community. Many times you do not get the thanks that you richly deserve. Throughout the year, you have demonstrated that serving on the city council is a calling, a way to contribute to the betterment of our community. You do make a difference, and we appreciate what you do. With that, with help, heartfelt thanks, I will now present to each of you your ceremonial dollar. or your 2 quarters, whichever it is.
So does that mean I'm getting Jeff Taylor's other 50 cents?
He's not here, is he? I guess Steve.
Maybe it's 95.
You're being a little generous when you said you got 50 cents. Mayor Gentling is out of town, and Jeff Taylor couldn't be here, so we will give him theirs later. But I will start out with Ward 1, Council Member and Vice Mayor Jim Case.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your service, sir.
Thank you.
And our other Ward 1 Councilman, James Blum.
Thank you, sir. Hot dogs.
Mine's $1 too.
And then for Ward 2, with Jeff not being here, Councilman Brian Bothroyd, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you for yours as well. That's a fake dollar.
We printed it.
You didn't say anything about that.
In Ward 3, of course, we have Councilman Don Channel. And thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
And our newest member, Tracy Williams. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Leroy.
Thank you. Do you have a city manager's report, Leroy?
I did not.
Was that it? You just gave it?
No.
That was just it?
No. We're good. No.
Savannah.
No. Take your seat.
I think we were all out last week. You were.
All right, any comments from council member Brian?
I just think that was a great project that the students did, and I can't wait to get the book. So.
Tracy?
I agree. We're very fortunate to have them spend their time and efforts and then give us the material they've come up with for our own use. So it's a great.
It's a good deal.
Appreciate it very much.
I got a couple things. One, I like the presentation, and I can't tell you how many times we've had presentations given to us that have brought more trees and vegetation into the downtown district to only typically have SHPO say no. I think it's time to say SHPO out the door, and we need to take care of our downtown. That's what I think. Screw them. But for 2, Red Brick Nights this Saturday. So, exciting times in downtown Guthrie. We have Red Brick Nights kicking off the season on May 7th. So,
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's always a lot of fun. Don?
I hate getting these kind of presentations.
Why?
Because something will get stuck in my craw and I'll think about it and mull it over and think about it. And it's something will get hung and I'll be like I need another project. But
Yeah.
there are some good ideas and stuff in here that I'd like to see us use some or all or part of.
I do too.
The other deal, drinks on me at Mac and Ike's till this baby is gone. So whoever shows up.
Oh, first come, first serve, I take it.
There you go.
Again, like everybody else was talking about, that presentation was awesome. Those kids are so sharp. They like you said, the way they presented it all and all the graphics and everything that they've given us, and the opportunity for us to learn from that even is really, really, really cool.
One other thing I liked about their pictures, most time our pretty pictures cost thousands and thousands of dollars
Yeah, these
to
didn't
get.
cost anything.
These were free.
Yeah, these were free. So.
But one thing you didn't hear, I'll throw out real quick, is they're putting this book together. And in the book is the presentations with everything that we can submit on these grants and which grants that you could apply for with them. So that's pretty awesome.
We could just pull those pieces out and apply for the grant with it. It's kind of what we're hoping to be able to kind of do.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, if there's nothing else, anybody else have anything? Nothing on my left, nothing on my right, nothing behind.